Okay. Well, now what do we do? How do you get people to protect themselves from something they don't believe in?
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff. And this week we are doing a very special movie. I knew it was special in the sense that my mommy has been nagging me to have us do this on the podcast for the whole time we've been doing the podcast. Probably since before we officially launched it. She's been like, when are you going to do the Blob? Because I guess she was obsessed with this movie back in the day.
Understandable.
You know, there's a lot of Blob girls out there, and she's one of them.
Now that I've seen it, I gotta say, I understand why. Because we added it to our Alien lineup. Very exciting stuff. And when I watched it, I was delighted to find out that it comes with its own banger theme song. Have you guys heard that song before ever?
No, I had never heard it. And I just want to let you know that I started watching this movie too flavor blasted last night, where I did not even recognize that there was a song playing when I started the movie. And I just listened to the beginning of it. I just listened to it again now, like just before this. And I was like, what? Wow, really scared about where I was last night that I didn't even recognize this Burt Bacharach amazing bop.
It was
By
so
the five
good.
Blobs, aka five Burt Bacharachs.
That's the one thing that I do wish we still had was the opening credits on some of these old movies.
Yeah.
Are just so visually stimulating in the best way. It gives you like weird wiggle lines and cool boppy tunes, and you're like, I love this. What a great way to start a movie. I also took a movie enhancement supplement last night and was like, let's go. I'm on a ride. Sunday fun day.
And it was a ride. I mean,
what a ride.
Something on IMDb described the opening song as 1 part temptation to 2 parts tequila. And now that I've seen it compared to tequila, I can't unhear it in my head.
Wow.
Exactly. Tequila. Like that part especially. Yeah. I mean,
never get a theme song like that you can do a little dance to. It's like Monster Mash core right here.
Yeah, but the thing is, now I really understand why the theme song for Killer Clowns from Outer Space was so banger, because that movie was taking so much from this movie, and they said, how do we do something even better than that? And I don't know that you can say that one is better than the other, but I'm putting both on my playlist, that's for sure.
Oh my God. Yeah. We got to do more of these 50s ones if they're going to have these songs so I can update my spooky Halloween playlist, because it's just been the same shit for 5 years and I'm getting a little tired of She-Wolf. Okay. I'm sorry. I love you, Shakira, but I need to mix it up. I need to mix it up.
You need the Blob.
It comes on a lot of times because it's not that long of a playlist. So this is going to beef it up. We need that.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, I just don't understand why more movies don't come with theme songs in general anymore. But that was just the beginning for the Blob. That was just to set the mood. And it did immediately change my mood. Like, I've been exhausted all day, and then as soon as it came on, I was just like dancing along, like doing a little wiggle. Like, I was feeling good after that. I was ready to watch a movie after that. But if you haven't seen The Blob, I'll give you the 1-line summary from IMDb just so you know what you're getting into here. But it reads, an alien life form consumes everything in its path as it grows and grows. And yeah, I think that just about sums it up.
That's good. That's good. It's a good
Keep it concise.
One.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Also, I just want to remind everyone that this is Alien Month here at Spooky Tuesday. And I just want to give us a pat on the back right from the beginning, because we're really getting like a lot of body diversity in our alien types this month. I'm glad that we're not just sticking to the little green men. We'll get there. Don't worry. Or I don't know if they're necessarily little. No, there's some little ones. I don't know if those ones are green though. I'm not going to tell you. You'll have to listen to the rest of this.
Oh my
month.
God,
But
so
we
mysterious.
We've got the xenomorphs, which have got a lot going on and some bug
Creepy crawly
things
bugs.
happening. Two mouths.
Mhm.
This one completely amorphous. We love that for her.
And red.
In a dashing
gloop.
color of red that evolves over the course of the film. Amazing.
Can I tell you
very
one of
exciting.
my high thoughts or one of
Yes.
my movie supplement thoughts?
I demand
What?
that
Who
you
said? What
tell.
did you say? What?
I
What?
can bleep that out. So I've never touched a drug a day in my life.
Never.
As this blob was like rolling around on the ground, I thought, wow, that looks like a period clot chasing after me.
That's the real horror. That's when you
That
just
is-
got a big old goopy bit. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
It is what it is.
So real.
But like
That's
that was
it's
like my
visceral.
first thought when we like see it on the ground. I was like, period clot.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm honestly am. I really
Yeah.
am.
I was like,
I-
no
I
wonder
see
the
what
men
you
were
mean.
scared of it.
Terrified.
Yeah, they had no idea
Terrified.
what to do.
Couldn't believe it. Didn't think it existed. We're like, I just don't understand. As far as I know, you can just hold your period in. What do you mean there's a big blob rolling about?
Exactly.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
This whole movie an allegory for men's feelings on period sex. Discuss.
Whoa.
I that's the only thought I've had so far. So
Well, that's why I prompted you guys. Go ahead. Discuss.
yeah. So now you take that.
You
say
discuss
something.
now, yeah.
Okay. This movie is a allegory for men hating period sex and also communism. Two things
It is.
ladies love.
It is. And it also is based on a true story? Question mark.
What?
So, when I was researching this movie, I was finding honestly a lot of great things. I found this blog called A Tale of Two Blobs that did a great compare contrast of this movie and the 88 version as well, which I've seen the 88 version and that's a whole nother thing. But I also found this article like at the very last second before we started recording called The Shocking True Story That Inspired the Blob on a site
Ooh.
called The Digital Fix, which I trust with my life personally.
Of course.
So
Of course.
I'm going to say that this is all true. So I'm going to read a little excerpt and you're going to have your mind blown. Okay, so on September 27th, 1950 in Pennsylvania, the Philadelphia Inquirer, a refutable news source, I'm sure, published an article titled Flying Saucer Just Dissolves. So basically the story was that there are these two police officers named Joe and John, and they reported that they saw something falling out of the sky the night prior on the 26th. And they're searching the area where they saw the mysterious object fall, and they found a strange purplish ooze dangling from a telephone pole. Love the phrase purplish ooze.
Ooh.
Apparently, I know. Then it immediately it's like, oh, purplish ooze, and then it immediately goes, apparently the two saw the goo crawl into a nearby field, of course. And once the officers cornered the mysterious jelly again, one of them reached out
Mysterious jelly. Oh my god.
Mysterious
So many
jelly.
good word
This is such a good
combinations in
article.
here.
I know. One of them reached out to touch the thing, overcome by his own curiosity. Don't do that.
That would be
I would
you.
say don't do that. I know. I would
Very
touch it
Monica
with-
coded.
I would do the stick thing. I mean, yeah, you're so right. You're so
Yeah,
right. I
you would
caught like
take your
16
finger.
frogs yesterday, so this is sorry. I
You'd be
can't
poking it
lie.
with your finger. Like, we know.
I can't lie one day after catching 16 frogs. Anyway. But anyway, once upon making contact with the skin, it didn't eat him like in the blob. The slime simply dissolved out of existence. Poof. Leaving no trace behind and two very confused men. And apparently after that, the FBI came to investigate. There's no follow-up about what the FBI said. Anyway.
Well,
This
we
is-
all know the government is hiding stuff, so
they don't want us to know about the purplish ooze.
the
But there's
mysterious
more.
goo.
There's
jelly.
more.
Excuse me.
It gets even crazier. It
Okay.
turns out that the 50s was not the first time this space goo had been reported. In fact, this is something that had been reported about for centuries. and is actually a phenomenon known as, sorry, I'm about to butcher this, pwdre. It's spelled pwdre. How do you expect me to say that?
Wait.
Pwdre.
Send it in a text so I can look at it.
There's no vowels except for the E at the end, so I'm really unsure what to do. Pwdre. pwdre space ser. How would you say it, Chelsea? It's pwdre.
I would probably think this was a typo if I saw it written anywhere else.
Apparently, it's Welsh for, quote, the rot of the stars. Disgusting. I love it. Or star jelly. Star jelly. So, pwdre or the rot of the stars. I love the rot of the stars, but star jelly is cuter.
How about the rot in our stars?
Ooh. John Green.
Okay. I went to howtopronounce.com because I Googled
and they
those
said exactly
letters,
what I said.
Welsh
I know.
pronunciation, and it says pwdre like that, like pwdre.
Like pooter. Pwdre. That's it. Pwdre. Okay, got it. Got it. I'm gonna call it that from now on. The earliest sightings of pwdre or star jelly go back to the 1400s. And some modern incidents of the substance were reported in 1846 in New York, 1996 in Tasmania, it's all over, and 2009 in the Scottish Hills. And it was initially alleged that the star jelly or pwdre was associated with meteor showers, and so people thought it was like melted space rocks. But scientists were like, hell no, baby. Meteorites don't melt. That's how they can do the whole meteorite thing. And a gelatinous substance like star jelly could never survive the fall into Earth's atmosphere from space, which makes sense. I'm almost done, but not yet. The most accepted theory is that the star jelly is actually some kind of animal regurgitation. It could be like a bacterial algae or a byproduct of some sort of fungi or some form of slime molds or molds. I think it's molds with a U, and this might be a British article. I have no idea, but that's what it says here.
Unrelatedly looked up mold versus mold with a U the other day, and it said that both are seemingly acceptable spellings for both versions of the word, like a ceramic mold or like a bacterial mold.
Well, that's not helpful at all.
I know, right? I was like, so vague.
But anyway, apparently the National Geographic Society examined some samples of star jelly, pwdre, in the U.S. back in 2009, and they found no DNA, which apparently that means that this strange goo isn't likely from an animal or a plant. So that's all I know about pwdre, but it's my only thing I'll ever think about ever again. This is the information they should have given us in the hearing about aliens the other day. This is what would have really sparked the joy in the souls of the American people to hear about pwdre out there. But yeah, apparently there's some space jelly out there, and it doesn't necessarily eat people, but it disappears into the ether. And
there's a Harvard article on it from like 1926 that you can find online.
I love that it's a Welsh word. I wonder how you say it. Pwdre. That's it.
It was like pewter more, I think.
Pewter.
It's pewter.
Here, let me. Can you hear this? Could you hear it?
No.
Maybe let me try the other AirPod.
I'm just hearing.
Well, we'll never know.
Insert audio here.
I'll clip it for you later. Yeah.
Pwdre. Anyway, that changed my life. I also read the whole article out loud to Adam, so it's not just you.
Fun.
If we have to hear
science.
it, so does Adam.
Everyone needs to know. Isn't that stupid? I'm so happy. This is the last movie I expected to be based off a true story.
Based off hundreds of years of true stories, it sounds like.
I don't know, man. Keep your eyes open during the meteor shower. Don't do that, though. Maybe. We've seen so many of these movies all based off of the Blob, where you follow the meteor and then you get eaten right away. Especially if you're an old man. If you're an old man listening to this podcast and you see a meteor, don't track it to its source, because you will be immediately killed and your dog's life will be in jeopardy.
I think there's a meteor shower happening tomorrow. And
Oh, well, watch out, old man.
It's gonna start tomorrow and like peak around like the 11th through 13th, and then kind of be done by the second full moon this month because there's 2.
You hear that, people? Keep your eyes on this space. We'll be reporting live if there's more pooter stare reported. Pooter stare.
If you are an old man, stay inside. Stay in your home.
We're pooter stare hunters now. We're giving up podcasting to commit to full-time pooter stare hunting.
This is a job for teenagers, okay?
Rebel without a pooter stare. I'm just saying.
All of us 30-year-old teenagers are going to handle this. Don't worry.
Oh, Steven, as he's billed in this movie, McQueen, I think this is his first like movie.
Yes.
His first leading role, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And he looks so old to be 17. And
He's
this is coming from like I watch Riverdale and Gossip Girl, and like they look like, yeah, sure, they're older, but like 20. He looks like he's 35.
Yeah, I read this article and it was like, the first hurdle to get over is believing that Steven is in high school. And I was like, yeah.
Yes.
They referred to him as looking grizzled, which was good for his later roles in his life and added believability there, but took it away here at the Blob, I think.
He's a sexy icon and his character is wonderful, but also it really confused me how old these people were supposed to be for probably the first 45 minutes of the movie at least. Really not sure.
Jane also looks really old too.
She doesn't look really old, but she looks old enough that I was like, and also like with the whole confusion about the ages in Killer Clowns from Outer Space, I was like, they could be college students, maybe. I don't really know their deal. Everybody's calling them kids, but that's like ambiguous to me until that one cop was like, it's not a crime to be 17. And then I was like, okay, they're 17? What?
Yeah.
But, you know, I just suspend my disbelief. And IMDb trivia was like, yeah, but they act really believably like 17-year-olds. Like their characters are behaving very believably 17. And I was like, okay.
We weren't there in the 50s. We don't know what 1950s youths were like. So
or how they
could have
respond
been like
to
this.
blobs falling from space. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of a specific scenario.
I was reading about this and they were like, this is not only a spooky B-movie film, blah, 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 blah. It's also a teen pick, a classic teen pick. So that was
a teen
a
pick.
thing.
A teen exploitation is what they used to call them.
A teen exploitation film. Where they're just like, no one believes the teens. The teens need to rise up to be believable.
And
These
it's like
poor teens are misunderstood.
And they're breaking the rules, like sneaking out.
Wow.
I do feel actually it's super relevant that I made my mom watch Teen Beach Movie, the Disney Channel original, the other day, because it's about going into a movie that's like 50s kids gotta save the beach. And that was prep work actually. That was homework that I did to do the Blob on this podcast.
I've seen 60% of Teen Beach Movie, and it was more compelling than I thought it would be. I was working a child's birthday party, and they screened 60% of Teen Beach Movie.
Oh, 60% of the birthday party? It's a short movie.
There was also a dance section of the birthday party where they learned the dance from Teen Beach Movie, and that took a long time too.
Important.
So,
they probably already all seen Teen Beach Movie.
Did you learn the dance to Teen Beach Movie so you could teach us?
You know, it didn't seem
I bet
like
we could do it to
time
the
for me to join the 12-year-olds up on stage when I was supposed to just be like minding my own business in the back.
I don't know. I feel like you being like, watch this. Tween.
Hold on.
Like,
hold on, tweens. Let a real dancer get here. No, these were all like dance girlies. They were like
Monica,
they do
ballet.
competitions.
You talked about it before.
It's like JoJo Siwa out there, okay? Like that's the kind of vibe we were talking about, and I was terrified. They're doing the splits like every 5 seconds and cartwheels like every 2 seconds. Terrifying. Anyway, Teen Beach Movie. There was a lot going on, but there's a lot going on with the Blob too. I, for one, was overwhelmed by this very technic colors that were occurring on the screen. This was very incredibly vivid, hyper real, some would say. I really liked that. That's like apparently a big selling point that they did the colors so well of this movie.
And they truly did. It was so pretty to watch.
It was. Yeah, and I mean, considering Steve McQueen's next movie he filmed after this was in black and white, I think it is like, I'm no film historian or whatever, but I think it's like significant that this movie was in color when a lot of them still weren't at the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely a big, well, I don't know if it's like a big swing necessarily, because I don't know how much more expensive it was or anything, but I definitely think it was like a good artistic choice and added to the movie, because truly the color of that blob as it got more and more red was gorgeous.
Well, I mean, how were they supposed to represent communism if they couldn't show a giant red blob?
The Red Scare.
Coming at
I want you to say more about communism.
But this is a Cold War era, Chelsea. Like,
Okay.
They were literally just, everybody was so afraid of communism, and they thought it was going to like absorb and like take over, especially like youth.
Oh, absorb them like the blob is absorbing.
Yes. Well,
okay.
It was that, and it was the Cold War, like beginning of the Cold War with that too. So it was like this huge unknowable entity, you know, that was this like menacing threat. Yeah, that couldn't be defeated, and like, you know, that
and it's
sort of
red.
thing.
The Red Scare,
And
baby.
it's red.
It's amorphous. We don't know much about it yet.
Yep. It's all of those things. So
I see you. And they're like, blah, 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 the war. He was in the war earlier, Officer Birdie. And like, we can't bomb it or it'll just spread everywhere. That feels like vaguely sort of something, maybe. I don't.
Where's Oppenheimer?
But
tell him
exactly.
to create a bomb.
Wait.
Albert Einstein is somewhere nearby in New Jersey. This movie takes place in Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah. There's something else.
That's why my mom loved it, probably. She's from Pennsylvania.
Wow. That sums it up.
Sometimes you just see a movie in your hometown or whatever.
Yeah. There's this great NPR article that was like, this movie, so The Blob, The Day the Earth Stood Still, It Came from Outer Space, all came out around the same time, and they were like showing the fears about the increasingly polarized political world at the time, where the nuclear technology threat was like out of control. So yeah, Oppenheimer is timely.
Listen, Oppenheimer, the government telling us aliens exist, like we are on the
Our
pulse
timing
of
is
society.
never wrong. Yeah.
You feel that? That's the pulse of America, sweetie. That's our 2 fingers on it.
This is the American dream, okay? It's us.
I don't know about that, but sure.
Listen, we're dreaming it up, and America's like, actually, I love what these girls on this podcast are doing. Let's also do that.
Yeah, no,
they
it's so
want
true.
to hear more
Our
about
influence.
period clocks.
You ever think about our influence? Wow, it's getting too great at this point.
It's getting so big. It just keeps absorbing everything in its path. It's growing.
Soon we won't be micro niche influencers anymore. Oh my god. But yeah, I was very confused at not the beginning of this movie, because the beginning of this movie was the exact same as Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's insane. It's literally the exact same movie, except Killer Clowns from Outer Space is kookier and a little funnier.
It's just like satirizing this. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved having seen the remake of this first. Like, I think it was fun that they did an 80s remake of this movie, because they really could do so much more with the practical effects. Like the 88 Blob is nasty in comparison to this, where there's literally nothing. You see not one thing happen. It just gets redder. There's that one part, and this was so funny to me, when Steven is like, he looks and he sees the doctor like getting dissolved, but you don't see like literally anything. You just see him like hit the blinds and then like fall away from the window. But then like 5 different times later in the movie, Steven is like, it was crazy. I saw him and he was there. And then I watched him dissolve in front of my eyes. And I was like, no, you didn't. Like, we didn't see that. Nobody saw that. But he described it. He described it so many times, like kind of to like retcon what you actually saw, because they couldn't like really show that. I mean, it was just like silicone and more red food dye. And I think they did a lot. And I couldn't find an article on this. I was too busy reading about pwdre.
Understandable.
But it looks like they did a lot of like, they squeeze silicone under the door and then they put that tape in reverse. That seemed like a lot of it. Like the special effects were like, they played the tape forward and then they played the tape backwards, and it looks like it's oozing and woozing all over the place. And I respected that.
They did a lot of like speeding things up also, and using miniatures and stuff like that for sure. And you can you can look at some of it and be like, yeah, that's miniature. But they had it's very fun. Yeah, I don't mind that one of the most climactic shots of the movie is a little cartoon, basically. You know, they're working with what they've got.
Yeah, this is ambition for 58, you know, like,
and people were probably like, "Oh my god, look at this amazing technology! How did they
so
do it?
Real?
Spectacular!
Is the train gonna come out and hit me?"
Oh my god!
Yeah,
they just made a reference to that in a recent "What We Do in the Shadows" episode. To the Nandor what saw that movie apparently. It killed me. Anyway. But yeah, I mean, I haven't watched like any movies from this era except for the ones that we've done on the pod, which I think was just House on Haunted Hill, and I think the Don Knotts one was in the 60s even. But a part of the movie that I really, really liked was the fact that like those other miscreant youths, the other teens, they were all going to the spooky night, the spooky show. What did they call it? The spooky show, the late night spooky show.
It's like the horror double feature, and then at one point they say like, "You cats aren't going to the spooky show."
Yeah, I love it.
We need to start bringing that back. I want to.
Hey, what gives? I thought you cats didn't dig the spooky shows. That's what they said.
I thought cats didn't dig the spooky shows. Do they have transatlantic accents, or am I just putting that into my memory? I just like doing that voice.
Steve did for sure.
Yeah.
It was like everybody had kind of a funky accent, and the way the nurse went, "Doctor," like I loved that. She did great, but then you have little Danny come in, and he just is like, he's very small. Yeah, he's a very small child. He's just kind of doing his own, very different from everybody else accent. Because you have to learn the transatlantic. Nobody's born with it, so.
Wow. Maybe I should just take that on now.
Should we all learn a transatlantic accent? Should we like work on that?
I feel like I have it in me naturally. I don't think it comes
out of me so easily.
I think it's been.
Tried.
I think
we'll try right now.
I have an old soul.
I don't even know where I would start. Like, as somebody who has to like.
I think it's just like I'm like built different.
I think I just have an old soul.
Not like other girls.
Yeah. I've got like an old person with a transatlantic accent deep inside of me.
Let me find a quote for you to say from the movie, maybe, Sydney. Let me find a good quote for you.
I'll have to listen to it at first because I literally couldn't. I know what it sounds like, but I don't know how to say any of it. I'm also
I'm gonna try one.
Bad at accents as somebody who has to constantly be
masking your accent,
Southern accent. I'm so bad at doing other accents.
You can only do what comes naturally to you and your Valley Girl accent you've taken on from osmosis from being in the Valley with us for so long.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, wait. Here's my attempt. This is a line from one of the cops, I believe. Dave, the main cop, which is also the name of the cop in Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So that one was truly a copy paste, except then they made him young and hot in Killer Clowns. Anyway, he goes, "Every criminal in the world was a kid once. What does it prove?" That's my impression of a transatlantic.
I think that was really good. I did one earlier and I think it was spot on. So I don't know if I can do it when I'm thinking about it. It's just something that has to come out of me naturally because, of course, I got it in me already. Sydney?
It didn't work. Why don't you do something?
In me.
Do something. Wait, there was a dog one.
Do something, Steven.
That's his container. It's a real dog. That's what they were talking about his car in the beginning. And I was like, is that good? Is that bad? His car looks very nice to me. So I really can't tell at first from context clues. But I think it means bad. I think it was bad. Cat, good. Dog, bad is what I'm gathering.
Cool cat. Bad
Do you remember the
dog.
S Club 7 episode where they go back in time and then
No,
they're
unless I
like in the
remember.
50s and they're bowling
Club.
and they're like, hey, cool cats. And John is like, I'm really more of a dog person.
I didn't watch that show. So, but
What?
thank you for taking me on that journey. I'm sorry. I just have to be honest. I can't lie.
Wow.
But
Everything's
I think
changed
I
for
did
me
a
now.
great transatlantic accent. Sydney, you got to give it a try. Just don't worry about it now. Just think about it, and maybe it'll organically pop out later on in the episode.
Okay.
But yeah, I did really like the way they did the spooky meteor break apart goo egg pwdre
The initial
reveal.
reveal.
The initial reveal was very good, and I would hit it with a stick. I would do that. But I couldn't believe how slow moving stuff happened with the blob at first. Just because it becomes, I don't know, watching the 88 one was good and bad to do beforehand. What I would honestly, we should do that one on the pod like a year from now, just because I think you guys would have so much fun because it's so 80s, it's so preposterous.
Okay.
But like, I don't know, I love what they were working with in the 50s, and it's still so effective. Like, you see the blob, you think you saw the the crocodile for a short period of time in Lake Placid. You've seen this thing for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, I mean the collective screen time of the blob also relatively little. But the thing that I think is so interesting about it is like, again, in terms of the tools they have at their disposal, they just kind of have to get pretty creative. Like, they don't have what we have now to be able to show you something that they want. So they just have to kind of give you the impression of what they want you to take away. So like,
Yeah.
in this scene with the nurse where she's like I mean, it's very funny because she's automatically freaking out. They're like, throw some acid on it, and then she does, and it doesn't do anything, and she's like, nothing will stop it. And it's like, well, you tried one thing, and IMDb trivia says that one thing is like a very like low grade acid used to treat genital warts in the 50s. So like, you threw an antibiotic on it and nothing happened, and then you were like, what gives? But also like, she's so scared, she's running away, she's backing away, we don't even see anything moving towards her, but then it's like silent and she's fully fucking gone. So like, yeah, I mean, she just had some animal instinct that something fucking wrong was happening, and then the blob got her so quickly and quietly. So the terror is earned.
Yeah, and I'm impressed with the blob because it really leveled up quick. Like, it ate that old man, and it took him like,
and it got huge,
15 to 20 minutes to eat that old man. And then it was like, nah, I can take down this nurse in 1 second. No time needed. He adapts, or she adapts, they adapt. The blob.
I think she's a girl.
I got a girly vibe too.
She's like a girly pop.
That's a girl's girl, okay?
That's a girl's girl.
Sparkly. She knows her color. She's like, oh my god, I look great in red. More blood, please.
Here's the thing too. Slime. Like, slime is so girly coded, you know?
Slime is
like,
for girls, yeah.
Slime is for girls.
Slime is for girls. I've played with my fair amount of slime. I don't have any of my own, but whenever I had the opportunity, it is wonderfully enjoyable. So I
love slime.
I get it. Should have had some to be on theme last night. Oh shoot, actually somebody got me slime for my 30th birthday, an appropriate gift, and I could have played with it while watching this movie, and it's a huge missed opportunity. I'm devastated. You can
play with it right now.
I'm gonna find it. Continue talking. I'll be back.
Yeah, I mean, there was just so much going on with this movie that was very fun. Like, the beginning when they're also at a makeout point and you're trying to be like, is Steve a bullshitter? Is he not a bullshitter? I can't tell his deal yet. But Janie girl believes him. And then they have the run-in. It's just Jane. But that's only because she doesn't trust him. I think she would like Janie girl if she knew that he wasn't like trying to be smooth. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But here's the thing too, and I know I've said this before, like, I want Lovers Lanes again. Bring that back.
Seriously, we said that on the Killer Clowns from Outer Space episode because these are the same two movies.
I was like, I know I've said this. I want that back.
Bring it back.
Yeah, you're right.
Bring
it
back.
Here's my question. I was very confused. Was Steve friends with those boys before? It seemed like no, but then they were homies so quickly.
Yeah. I think they were friends. And I mean, they definitely knew each other. Like, they definitely knew each other's names and stuff like that.
They probably go to school
Yeah,
together.
they went to the same school, but maybe Steve's like a bad boy.
I think they
Steve's a good boy.
knew each other. I don't know. The vibes are truly so strange because they are saying
so
his
weird.
car's a dog, and they're like, you can't just challenge the challenger or whatever. And they took one of his hubcaps off and put it on his head, and they were like, here's your crown.
Well, they were like, you were going so fast, you beat my record. I'm so mad at you. And like, Steven doesn't think to say, like, yes, I was rushing to the doctor.
It was an
emergency.
emergency.
Not a show of force. It's just for your pride, sir. But anyway, I thought that was very funny and very 1950s boy of them all.
I also didn't understand. Maybe I don't know. Gorgeous slime, Monica. Maybe I didn't
like
know about.
Sickle. Keep going.
Maybe I don't know how 50s cars work. I do appreciate the importance of a 50s car race because I've seen Grease 1 million times in my life. But I like. They drove in reverse and then one of the cars stalled and Steve somehow knew it was going to do that and he didn't do it with his and then they were at a red light and then the cop came and then the other cars like drove by but we didn't see them drive by but then they were up ahead of him afterwards and then they were all good buddies making fun of the cop.
Here's the thing.
Oh, you go.
Men friendships are so
they
weird.
Are like that.
They're just like that.
They're like,
what? We're not friends. We're fighting, but now we're actually making fun of the same obnoxious authority figure. So it's kind of fine.
We're besties.
Like, now we're besties.
We don't even know each other's
all
names.
My besties. Yeah. No, he did know their names though, because at one point she was like, "You're friends," and he's like, "Oh, Mooch, Tony, and blah blah blah."
Al,
Mooch, Tony, and Al. I have to say this. I said this on our movie draft episode with Raiders of the Lost podcast about what movie? Christine. I think that Steven sort of looks like Paul Walker. Once again, a car boy looking like Paul Walker.
Interesting.
The Fast and Furious.
Paul Walker's casting was referencing the Blob.
Absolutely.
Who's to say it wasn't?
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
Sydney, give it a shot.
No.
That was a great opportunity. It could have come just naturally out of you. You have it in you. We'll get it out. Yeah, I love that we got the dichotomy of bitch cop and nice cop. But I was sad because bitch cop didn't get brutally murdered like he does in Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I guess it's not that kind of film. But he was really annoying. I mean, again, with the whole, because it's the same movie, like, yes, every teen in the entire town must have banded together to complain about the same thing all at once. Like, the cops really give these children like the benefit of not the benefit of the doubt, but like they have great organizational skills.
They got a phone tree together in no time.
Teens love pranks.
Teens love pranks and they got nothing to do in this town. Absolutely
except
nothing.
Watch the spooky show.
Yeah,
except watch the spooky show, movie. But didn't you see that a big blob came and ate everybody in the theater? So everybody had to go running.
I saw that part before when I was at Alamo Drafthouse. That's one of the things that they play. And then they're like, don't be on your phone or this is going to happen. They played that scene. It's effective.
Yeah, I bet.
Mm-hmm. You wouldn't want that. That scene is awesome, though. I misremembered it, though. I thought it came out of the screen. But it gooshes through the projector holes, which was very pleasing.
Yeah, I mean, I loved how it came through the vent and then the force of it pushed the vent out entirely. And then almost immediately the film stops and you're like, it got the projectioner, but does that make it stop that fast? And then you look over and it's like fully coming out the windows. It's just gotten everything in the room. So, you know, it's a mess back there.
Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah,
Also,
but I loved watching it like ooze under doorways and like come through vents and like around windows and stuff. Like I thought that was really fun.
yeah, I really
We
liked
love a
it
good
too.
ooze.
I like a lot of ooze. That's a nice addition at any time. And yeah, I don't know. I kind of got like lost in what happens in the middle of the movie. I know they go to the cops and then the cops are like, "You're dumb." And then they go home. Oh, I remember what I wanted to talk about. Then they go home because the cops said go home and then they break out of the house. And then there's that scene, and I don't know if this is just what the 50s were like, but I have seen a couple of other 50s movies. This was straight up set up like a romance scene where it's Steven and what's her fucking name? Beautiful girl.
Jane.
Janie girl. And they're like he's standing in front of this like fake ass backdrop with the trees, and there's the wind in the trees, and they're playing this like la da 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 like beautiful song that's like cresting into a crescendo, and it felt like a romance song, but he's talking about the blob dissolving the doctor. And it's just like I'm like, what's happening right now? Why is this the musical choice that they made? And they kept like going back to her face and his face, and it was just so like romantic, but they're talking about the blob, and I love that could really, bring that energy for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, also one fun fact about that scene that you probably couldn't notice on your own. I had to go back and look for it after I read IMDb. But if you look carefully at the background when he's speaking, you can see like smoke wafting a little bit. And that's apparently because Steve McQueen was a big smoker at the time, and his character never smokes. But filming that scene, he was holding a lit cigarette behind his back so that he didn't have to put it out. So he just was ready for the take to be over, maybe also.
I think I remember seeing that because it lit a little light bulb in my head and reminded me of the piss steam from Lake Placid and whatever other steam we talked about last episode. So important stuff.
Important stuff. But yeah, I mean, I loved when they were at the doctor's place with the cops, and Mrs. Whatever came over and was just like the neighborhood busybody and was trying to clean up. And she's like, can't I just clean around the fingerprints? And she's not getting it.
Dirty.
I was so mad at her. I was like, girl, you don't know what you're talking about.
And she's like, no, I know everybody's business, and you cops can actually fuck off because I'm gonna clean up in here. So
she's like,
go
I'm
home.
the queen of the town. She just took over. That's a powerful
I'm in charge,
woman.
actually.
Look at all these strong women characters in this film. The Blob, that woman. Really nice stuff.
But yeah, I mean, I loved that Jane changed outfits also when she was coming back out.
Yes.
She had on like a very gorgeous yellow gingham dress before, and then presumably she had to like change into her pajamas and pretend to go to bed under her parents' supervision. And instead of putting her same outfit back on, she was like, I know, I'll wear my lavender skirt this time
with a
instead.
Big petticoat underneath it.
Let me get my other little crinoline to put on under here. And I mean, she did slay. And she had that nice scene with her baby brother Danny looking like Michael straight out of Peter Pan, with his little onesie and his teddy bear.
That was
and
really
then
cute.
really cute. And then she ran off to go find Steve, where they had that romantic scene where it went on for so long at one point when he was talking and she was off screen, that I was like, is the blob gonna have gotten her when we weren't looking? Like, he was facing away and he was gonna turn around and have it just be Blob. But they didn't do that, which is fine. It's totally fine.
Missed opportunity, honestly, but
I can't believe they didn't do it.
I heard like a weird sound too when I was watching the movie. Like in the movie, I thought I heard a weird sound, and I was like, "Oh, the blob is like blobbing on over. Like, here it comes." But then it I know. I was like, here it blobs, but it didn't go.
Blub, 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 blub.
That's what it sounded like.
I wish he had made a little bit more noise, but I did like the sounds I did hear. They were nice.
She's a good listener. She's just giving him her full attention, respectfully.
I understand that. I I also just love It's so 50s that they're like, well, okay, actually there are some like great existential questions being asked, like how can you make people fear something they cannot see, directly in reference to the Cold War. That's what that was. But like I love that they're like, I know what we'll do. We'll make a big old sound and we'll bring the town together. I don't know. It was just so cute and 50s of them and very effective. It was smart.
I love the guy going and getting all the helmets out of his closet.
Yeah, he's like,
that was so,
what
like,
do I wear
ready.
for each emergency? There's a fire emergency. There's a civil emergency. This has never happened before. Oh, wait, let me do it. Sorry, that wasn't transatlantic. This has never happened before. What am I going to wear?
Wow. Look at her turn that on. Ooh, it was beautiful to watch.
I'm going to practice mine all week and come back next week.
Come back next week. Yeah.
Transatlantic.
The whole
entire
episode, you'll record it. Yeah.
That's fine.
That sounds fun.
Exciting little gimmick for the listeners.
No, but I did love the unionization of the teens once they were like, we really need to get the cops' attention. Nobody is listening to us. It came into the market with us, my dad's market, and it almost trapped us in the icebox. And the little doggy, William, named by my brother, Danny, he ran away. And like, did the blob get him? Gosh, I mean, it was riveting. And then they were like, if we get everybody to honk their horn at once, somehow that will set off the emergency sirens. Or we have access to the emergency sirens?
I don't know.
And that'll bring everybody who is anybody.
It worked. I'm not going to question that.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing. They maybe did a little B&E on the alarm system, but it had to be done. Because it's true. How would they believe in something that they can't see? They have no imagination, these town folk.
They have no imagination, these town folk. And also, whenever they get a report of something strange, they simply dismiss it. Because there was that guy at the garage who got blobbed, and there was a whole bar of people who got blobbed, and there was something over on 2nd Street or 2nd Avenue or whatever, that people had come from there and had been talking about things. Everyone was gone, or everyone had gotten blobbed or whatever. Like, all of this anecdotal stories, the cops are still just being somehow like, it's the teens. The teens are doing their prank.
The teens disappeared all these people. You'll have a real problem if the teens are making large swaths of people disappear.
If the teens are getting everybody in on this and they can make a whole bar full of people disappear or pretend to be gone, I think you should be looking into the teens anyway. You know what I mean? Like, don't just let them go gallivanting off.
Don't just let that slide. That seems a little bad.
Ask some questions.
Oh man.
That does basically bring us all the way to the end of the movie, though. Like, it's a short movie. It's like an hour, 22 minutes, 23 minutes, maybe. That's including credits. And
we have a good 87-minute movie.
Yeah, and everything is moving kind of slow. So you might be like, yeah, you guys are halfway through. No, we're basically at the end. But the end scene does kind of take a long time because, you know, when everybody is running, somehow little Danny is there with his little cap gun. And then Jane has to come over and scoop him up and run into the diner, and the diner gets entombed in goo pretty fast.
I love that he throws his gun at it. He's just like,
eat this. Yeah.
Yeah. Good for him. He's just like, someone lock him up. Like, come on, kid.
He's guarding everyone. He told Jane he would protect her. He's a 3-year-old of his word.
But also, why was nobody watching him?
His parents were concerned about the blob, maybe? I don't... I guess they brought him with them because they, like... There's that scene where they're looking for Jane and Danny, and they're like, neither of them are in their beds. And then they find Danny downstairs on the couch, but Jane is still gone. So they must, like, bring him outside... Or maybe they like put him back to bed and then they go looking for Jane and he just wanders outside. Actually, that sounds like it could be very likely.
Either way, poor parenting.
I'm against child leashes, but this is a scene that could sway someone, you know what I mean? Like this should be used in the argument for. But again, I am not pro. I'm anti-child
I'm
leash.
not arguing for it. I'm just saying if someone wanted to, they would have a lot of evidence for it in the Blob.
Just saying. I hope those type of people aren't listening to the. No, if you have a child leash, I can't talk to you about it. I have no skin in this game. But anyway, they get fucked so fast. Like
Yeah.
it's just immediately the Blob is upon the entire cute little diner.
And then they try to electrify the Blob, hence our little cartoon imagery, as they like shoot the wire off of the
Telephone pole.
Telephone pole, electricity pole. And then they try to electrify it, and instead they just light the diner underneath on fire.
Of course. Things aren't going
really
well.
Inconvenient.
Things are not going well. I was like, oh, are they just gonna die down there? Like, how is I was like,
is this movie that grim?
This is bleak. What does this say about the Cold War?
I was not expecting this.
Yeah, and there was like 2 minutes left in the movie, so you're like, what are they gonna do?
Yeah, that's like one of the criticisms.
They start saying their goodbyes.
Yeah, they're like,
and everybody's standing outside the diner, like all sad, like the cops, their friends, the parents are all just like, oh,
that's why the mom is like, well, won't you do something? Do something. But what is there to be done? They don't know. They already tried electrocuting it and throwing genital warts medicine on it, and nothing worked.
I can't believe that didn't kill the pwdre. But yeah, I learned a term. I had heard this term before, but I didn't really understand what it meant totally. Haha, we are a film podcast. But they did the classic Deus Ex Machina trope here. Yeah. Which is when suddenly an unsolvable problem is solved really fast and unexpectedly, right in the last 2 minutes of the movie.
I thought they laid a little groundwork with the icebox scene. You know what I mean? Because like they make you think in the moment that not William, because Danny proposed the name William for the little dog and then he took it back. They make you think the little dog is barking and it attracts the Blob, and then the little dog gets eaten, and that's what like drew it away from Jane and Steve in the freezer. But then we learn from the other delinquents, Tony and Mooch and Al, that the little dog went like running down the street. So the little dog is okay. And then you're like, why did it retreat? Was it just like chasing the little dog and the little dog got away? And then they reveal at the end, like, it doesn't like the fire extinguisher. The CO2, it's cold. That's why it didn't go after us in the icebox.
I feel like that's giving it so much credit though, because there's so much else going on in that moment that you're like, oh, of course it was because it was cold in there. Like that's why. Like there's no time.
They lead to a lot of conclusions immediately in this movie. Yeah, but they seem to get it right most of the time, unless you're one of the cops. So, you know, maybe everybody with big smart brain.
But at least the dog didn't get eaten.
At least the dog didn't get eaten. William.
Also, William, great name for a dog.
I love a very normal, aggressively human name for a dog.
I've always wanted a dog named Steven.
Well, do it after this movie.
Strong. Steve McQueen. It's a great name. But yeah, I think at least the fact that they use the fire extinguisher, that makes sense. You know, it's not like they're like, let me just try this fire extinguisher. There was a fire. So that made sense. So I liked it. And then I love the little school heist. They're like, well, the principal's like, fuck it, I'm gonna break the window. We're like, yeah, he's a bad boy now, working with the teens.
The principal and the delinquent teens team up to save the world. We've got more in common than we thought.
I love it.
But also, it has to be a CO2 fire extinguisher. Apparently, there's different fire extinguishers.
I think I knew there were different kinds, but I don't really know enough about the different kinds to say any more than that.
I learned a lot of things from this movie, like
because they literally specified, no, it has to be a CO2
Can't be
fire.
The other one.
Yeah, and I was like,
maybe there was like a new fancy fire extinguisher on the market at the time, and perhaps it was the CO2 or perhaps it was the other one, and that was common knowledge for people in the 50s. Like Maybe
Ooh.
that was easily understood at the time, whatever they were communicating with that, and we're past that technology now.
The 6 main fire extinguisher types are water,
6?
foam, water, foam, CO2, powder, water mist, and wet chemical.
Wet
What is
chemical?
wet chemical?
Mysterious
No one
jelly,
knows.
wet chemical.
When
They
I
are
Googled
best friends.
Pwdre.
That's why you better not use wet chemical on the mysterious jelly, or it's only gonna help it grow.
It would love for you to use wet chemical.
one of the
You
first
would love it.
YouTube videos is like, learn the dangers of a CO2 extinguisher. And I'm like, oh no.
Is it that it's cold?
I think it's that it could blow up.
Yeah, it's carbon dioxide. So like, that's not
It's
good,
not that
right?
it's cold. Very cold. Don't get it on your hands. Get frostbite.
That could be part of it. There's no one
Could be.
knows.
Nobody can dispute me here in this moment.
That's
No, we
for
can't.
sure.
Somebody rushes in, bursts througthe door, and they're like, "That's not right.
Adam rushes in out of nowhere.
That is not correct."
Did you know though, in the end of this actual film, it is making a unknown argument about climate change?
Yes.
Yes.
I started to Google and be like, when did they really start to like research this? Like, when was this something that they really started to look into? And it was early in the 19th century, I guess, when they started to research about like ice age and the natural greenhouse gas effect and stuff like that. But I'm not sure. I guess it says this is just Wikipedia that I'm reading. In the 1960s, the evidence for the warming effect of carbon dioxide gas became increasingly convincing. And I know at some point, like all of the car companies did their research that found that they were contributing to climate change, and then they just like buried it for 30 more years. But I'm not sure when that happened.
Yeah. I just thought it was so crazy that they're like, let's freeze it to death and we'll just put it in the Arctic. I love that that was the idea. I was like, this is how the thing happens. Okay.
But like
this
the
is
last words of this movie are like, I hope the Arctic doesn't like unfreeze or something like that. And you're just like,
as long as the Arctic stays cold. And then it's like
Yeah.
literally like ... question mark.
Yeah. They knew. They knew. They're like the
this
polar
movie
bears
is so political.
they're gonna die because of global warming, and then they're gonna die for sure because the blob's gonna eat them.
You just wait until I tell my Republican mommy that her favorite scary movie is about climate change.
Oh, she's gonna love
Get
it.
her.
She's gonna love it.
Did you know your favorite movie's about communism
Guess
and climate
what?
change?
Did you know you're secretly pushing a liberal agenda?
Duh.
Oh my god. Is your mom gonna listen to this episode? Because I hope
No.
she likes the amount of times I say pwdre on it.
My mom is never gonna listen to any episode, hopefully.
Okay, good.
She's absolutely gonna listen to this episode.
I was like,
She's gonna
"Oh,
like all of our
wait."
little social posts on Instagram, and that's it.
Okay, I'll make sure I pull a clip where I say pwdre for
She's
social
gotta
media.
know.
That one goes out to her.
Just every time Monica says pooter, clip.
Pwdre.
Mhm.
Fan cam of me.
Mommy
saying
would love
pwdre.
that. Yeah, mommy would love it.
Okay, any more general thoughts before our segments?
I just think generally that this movie is a blast.
It's so
I had a
much
great time.
fun.
Yeah.
It's so fun. I want to watch so many more movies from this era. I think this would be really fun to do in my backyard like movie theater
Yeah.
setup thing.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this would
yeah.
be like the perfect thing to watch with like a bunch of friends because there's inevitably going to be some downtime in these movies because they can't show you all the shit like the 80s do. And so you can eat popcorn and chat with your friends and look at the fire in that time. But yeah, so let's move on to our segments. So, first one being, how could this 1958 film be gayer?
Okay, suggestion.
Yeah.
Dr. Halloran apparently is always getting picked up by that other doctor. I think Dr. Gilpin, they're having a secret gay affair for sure. Why do they need to carpool so often if not to be gay lovers?
Valid.
I agree. I had some like really strong feelings about this when I was watching it, and then like, where are they? They've left.
Is
the
it about
building.
Tony and Mooch and Al? Because I thought Mooch was in love with Tony, but Al was begrudgingly in love with Mooch.
And Tony was in love with Steven.
Tony was fascinated with Steven, couldn't take his eyes off Steven. He was like, finally, a worthy challenger.
And Steven was in love with the cop.
Ooh, that's why Killer Clowns from Outer Space had that little love triangle, because they were like, there was some groundwork laid in the Blob that didn't get followed through enough for our liking.
They're using the source material for sure.
In this one and ours, Dave and our main funny guy are gonna get really close to smooching. They still won't smooch, but you're gonna know they want to.
But it's gonna be implied.
You're gonna know they did 5 minutes after the movie ended. Yeah, this one there's too much of an age difference. Steve is 17, but he's got a crush on an older man, and that's relatable sometimes. Sometimes you just have an authority figure in your life, and it's not that you would ever do anything, and it's certainly not that they would do something, but it's an appropriate place to put your crushly feelings sometimes.
Your crushly feelings. I'm sorry, but I've just been distracted by the fact that Killer Clowns and the Blob remake came out the same year. That's bad luck.
What?
Apparently they started showing the Blob in theaters again a lot in the 70s because Steve McQueen had some other movie in the 70s that was huge. So I think there must have been like a big resurgence of interest in it. And I'm not an expert, but what I know of Killer Clowns versus what I can imagine about a Blob remake is that the Blob remake was probably, the ball was rolling on that project for longer. But they just happened to come out the same year, and Killer Clowns was just like doing their thing as an independent movie.
Yeah. Ugh. The Blob remake was very fun. It was much more gruesome. And
I want to watch
more what the fuck, you know what I mean?
I was actually
wacky town.
Yeah, I was hanging out with Erica from Homies of Horror yesterday. If you guys remember Homies, not you two, I know you two. But if our listeners remember Homies of Horror from our Near Dark episode, which you should listen to if you haven't, because you might remember we referenced it last week for Billsy 2's week. But she was telling me, I told her I had to go home and watch The Blob, and she was like, oh, the 80s one? I love the 80s one. So that's another person vouching for it. So yeah, we're definitely gonna have to check it out at some point.
Oh, def. It's a hoot and a half. There's so much going on. And
I might watch it tonight.
Thirsty. It gets
For
thirsty. Okay. Any other gay thoughts to share?
I don't think so. I don't think I have anything else in my notes.
Yeah, there's just a light gay vibe between the boys for sure.
Yeah, Jane unfortunately wasn't allowed to talk that much. So she didn't interact really with any of the other girls. So I don't have much for her, unfortunately.
I'm on IMDb for the Blob 1988 and just saw my favorite kill, and I can't stop thinking about it. We got to move on. I have to change the subject. Woo. Okay. Matthew Lillard. Where would he fit in? He's got to be one of those boys, those cartoons. We got to
I feel
go
like
back
he should be Mooch.
Yeah, Mooch is my instinct as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because the name, because Mooch doesn't necessarily do anything that distinctive. But there is one moment where Tony's like, here, catch, Mooch. And he tosses the moon rock to him. And that feels like Matthew Lillard would be the person who catches the moon rock, you know?
I'm fully into that.
It feels right, you know?
It feels right. I agree.
Mooch energy. I really agree. Easy. Also would love to see him with the 50s, any of the 50s hairstyles. So,
oh yeah,
that would just be fun. Yeah. We got to get that time machine going so we can make some of these things happen. The one use of AI. No, give all that money to Matthew. Okay, that brings us to the dumb bitch. And I mean, they make it so easy with this one.
Yeah,
they
really wanted to be Jim Birdie, Detective Jim Birdie, or Officer Jim Birdie, or whatever his name is, because I have to assume Birdie is his last name based on the way that they addressed him as both Jim and Birdie. But he could be Birdie Jim. I mean, I don't know. I guess.
Oh, his name is Sergeant Jim Burt, but they call him Birdie to be like a little diminutive,
like how they call Oppenheimer Oppie.
Oppie.
Which, that's so insane. Whatever, I can't get into that right now.
We can't discuss this.
There's so much there. There's so much there. Luckily, this is not an Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer.
Oppenblobber. That's
This
the
is-
new phenomenon sweeping the globe.
This is not the Oppenheimer to discuss that. So I'm going to see myself out. That brings us to our 9s out of 5s. So were people blown away by the blog? Were they like, wow, 5 stars, 10 out of 10? Woo, woo, woo. Well, is the blog real? Yes, it is.
Yes, it's based on pwdre. Didn't you guys hear it? It was very successful financially, I think, because IMDb trivia said it made like $4 million, which I have to imagine was a lot of money in the 50s. And in comparison to the fact that Steve McQueen was offered $2,500 to star in this movie, $2,500, and he took that because his alternate offer, 10% of the profits, he thought would be very small. And then it made $4 million, so that would have been $400,000, unfortunately for him. But yeah, so it was like it way overperformed from what anybody thought financially. And like I said, they brought it back into theaters in the 70s. They made a remake out of it. So it was well received in that regard. In terms of the numbers, on IMDb, this movie has a 6.3 out of 10. And then on Rotten Tomatoes, it has 68% fresh from critics and 52% rotten from audiences. But that's like almost close to being fresh, you know, and it's like a B movie. So I think like that doesn't feel terribly off base necessarily. A little hater vibes from that, but sure. I'm not gonna like
People
fight
just
it, you know what
don't
I mean?
have a vision, okay?
People don't appreciate a little cartoon electrocution anymore.
Yeah, they don't like a little goo. So sad. And they probably don't know the true story behind the shocking,
they knew it was a
moving,
true
story. They should have led this movie with one of those title cards, like in Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
like in Return of the Living Dead.
Yes.
Actually, what's so interesting about Return of the Living Dead is that I feel like that movie is a little bit in conversation with this movie, if only for the part where at the end the government is like, should we bomb the Blob? And the cop is like, no, that's just going to spread it around to the whole country and make everything worse. So somebody didn't learn a lesson between the 50s and the 70s. Is that when Return of the Living Dead came out?
80s.
I forget. 80s. Okay. Somebody didn't learn their lesson.
Somebody didn't learn it. Okay, who wants to go first?
I loved this movie. I had such a good time. I love there's just something so fun about older movies that I think truly if we started making movies that were kind of just as cheesy but like purposely cheesy like that, like as like an homage, I think it would be incredible. Like it's not where you're trying so hard and it just looks bad. You're like, oh no, this is supposed to look like this, and you're like, this is artwork.
We're just a group of friends making a film.
Exactly. It's like if graphic design was my passion, was a film, it would be The Blob.
They're doing their best with the constraints of the time.
I had a really good time. I would have liked a little bit more gore, but you know, it was the 50s.
Hard to do with The Blob, I guess, given the rules they've set up about how it works.
I am glad that the dog survived, so I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5.
Ooh.
Nice. I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5, not for any lack of love, but I just didn't like spark joy immensely for me. I had a really, really good time with it still. But
not
I think
even
I'm
for pwdre?
I love a pwdre, but that happened outside of the film. That
was research time.
Fire in my heart, but that was not in the film, and so I can't give the film credit for that. I have to give the Welsh people credit for that, using their beautiful language to create that name. But yeah, I think that this is really, really fun movie, and it's inspired me to want to watch a lot more of these types of movies, and I also really getting me interested in watching the OGs from all these remakes that I've watched from the 80s and the 70s era. Like, I need to watch the Invasion of the Body Snatchers OG now. Like, that
same.
really inspired me to do that. You gotta like tune in a different way. Like really like pay attention in a different way because it's not gonna grab you in the same way that we're used to being so used to the shock and awe of modern society. But I think it's a good exercise for my brain to, put my phone away and really, really focus. But it was really, really fun. And I have heard so much about Steve McQueen, and I've never seen a movie with him in it. So that was cool just to see him pretend he is 17 years old.
His very first movie is your first movie that he ever did.
Yeah.
It was also Jane. It was her debut role as well.
Oh, she's beautiful. Love her.
So you guys all came into this together for the first time.
All of us together. It's so nice. But yeah, 4 out of 5. I'm really glad we did this. This was a hoot and a half.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta give credits to my mommy. She doesn't always nail it on the recommendations, but on this one she was right. On this one, I'll have to tell mommy that she was right.
Dig.
And I should have listened.
Tell her you said that.
Well, she's gonna listen to this episode. So
this is okay. That's actually unfair because the thing is, she never gives movie recommendations. She always asks me for them, and then sometimes she's just a hater about it. But this is the one she gave, and it did slap. So credits to mommy on that. I really liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think it would be a full 5 Knives if they had played the opening song at the credits again, because then they would have like left me feeling on top of the world. Mm-hmm. But I did love how fucking grim it got at the end, where you're like, oh my God, like they're picking up Danny, they're saying goodbye, basically. Like they are just waiting to die in there right now.
Like, sheesh. Yeah. It's over.
It is over. And then they turned it around, and then they were like, or is it over? Climate change might be coming soon to society near you. And then it fucking did. So some good foresight on that one. I'm gonna give it like a 4.75 knives out of 5s.
Nice. This is a great one. I'm loving Alien Month, man.
I'm having a blast for Alien Month.
I'm having a great time, and I haven't even gotten all my alien shit out yet, so you just wait.
How about you, Sydney? I know you're not an alien girly, you said last week, but are you enjoying yourself?
I very much like the Blob, and I very much like the movie that we're doing next week, which
I'm so excited.
This movie, I don't know, like we didn't think about it. This was another of the kind of like last minute ads, and it just popped into my brain like it
sent from God.
Yeah, honestly, it was like, oh, and that movie is Mars Attacks. Mars Attack.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it in 1 billion years. I think it was one of those movies that would be like playing in the dentist's office or whatever. But I have specific memories from it, and I remember we talked about it a little when we did The Faculty. So I'm very interested to actually revisit it after probably like at least 20 years.
Yeah. No, Mars Attacks is so good.
And it's such like the aliens, like when you think of aliens, you're like, this is it.
Those are some of the guys.
And
yeah.
It's very, what are the aliens in like Futurama? It gives me those, like, that's clearly like totally. They kind of got that design. And I was like, yes.
It's so silly. It has Pierce Brosnan in it. I mean, amongst a
Danny
million
DeVito,
other amazing people.
Sarah Jessica Parker,
Jack Nicholson. But like, it has my like favorite song, like one of my favorite songs in it, and that's all I'll say. And it's just an amazing work of art. A real work of art. I can't fucking wait to watch it again. I watched this during the pandemic, and it was a bright spot in a bad time. So can't wait to revisit it. And good news. It's up 516 places on the IMDb Ratometer. So the people are
becoming more relevant by the day. Yeah.
Well, aliens are real.
Aliens are real.
This is their source material. This is what is gonna happen. Anyway. Well, okay. I hope you're enjoying Alien Month. It's time for us to think of our poll question really fast. Fuck. Ugh, we always do this. Okay. What is a natural question that you have?
Are you scared of period sex? Yes or no?
Ooh, good one.
Spicy.
What of the aliens that we've done so far, which would you prefer eats you? The alien from the xenomorph or the
Okay,
or
actually,
the Mars Attacks one.
a great poll question. Which one do you think your grandparents would be more afraid of, communism or period sex?
I bet grandparents were out here back in the day having period sex like crazy. So let's be real. Grandparents did freaky shit when they were in their younger days. They're probably still doing it in their older days, but they're not getting periods anymore.
How did we get to this conversation?
my beautiful brain. How else?
Maybe we'll use one of those poll questions, or maybe we'll come up with something
Maybe
else.
Monica will think of something else.
Maybe I will write up something else.
It will be a surprise.
Oh man, but why not give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or Spotify in the meantime? Why don't you say aliens are real and so is my love for Spooky Tuesday? That was good. What's up?
That was
Chelsea?
good. You could the poll question could be dog name suggestions for William, since Danny didn't like William after all.
But William is the best.
Well, William could be one of the options. What was the other one you said, Sydney?
Steven.
Kevin.
No, Kevin's a great one though.
My friend Casey has a cat named Kevin, and her other cat is named Catherine. So
I just
Kevin
wanted to
and
do
Catherine.
Like Daniel.
Right?
Yeah.
What about the Blob?
The Blob. Yeah, that can be one of the options too.
pwdre.
I loved the way that they avoid saying the word blob this whole entire movie.
Oh my god.
I mean, how did we
this.
We'll have
Stop.
to go put this back in earlier.
Put this in somewhere earlier. The names that they were gonna name this movie instead of the Blob are so good. They were gonna call it the Molten Meteor. Not very good. Not very good. And then they changed it to the Glob, but that was taken. That's what this says. That was taken. Okay.
Somebody else had already done the Glob.
And then, glob, blob, and the Blob stuck.
Yeah, but apparently they liked like the Blob and the Glob aspect of those title options because they sound so silly and they're so easy to make fun of.
Yes.
Because apparently producer Jack H. Harris hoped that comedians would pick up on that element of it and mention it in their sets, and they did, and so they got a lot of free promo for this film.
Smart. Get the people talking.
They also reference it in the musical Jersey Boys, where one of the girls, when they're like recording at one point, and one of the girlfriends is like, "I want to go see the Blob."
I love that. I love Jersey Boys. Okay, I guess we can.
So does my mommy.
Bring it back to the mommy.
back to my mommy. Yeah.
Mommy through line. Aliens.
Mommy through line. Oh my god.
Mommy
it's
month.
Actually
Mommy
secret mommy month.
It's mommy month. I'm sure we can find a mommy in Mars Attacks. So
has to be.
And I know what the connection will be for the one after that, but I won't tell you what the movie is. Ha ha ha.
It does have a nice mommy connection, though.
It does have a nice mom connection.
I'm not so sure about our Fifth Tuesday. We'll have to think about that one a little harder.
Oh, there's some.
Okay.
There's some. I'll tell you later. Anyway, so aliens are real, and so is my love for Spooky Tuesday. I wrote the 5-star review for you. Do that. You got this. Also, why not follow us on social media at spooky_Tuesday on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. We're really close to 150 on YouTube. Also, we have almost a lot. I'm not going to say the number. We are about to hit a new level of stardom on Spotify. So you should go follow us there if you don't do that already. If you're just a casual listener, make it official. And also we're on Tumblr and Facebook at Spooky Tuesday Pod, and we're on Letterboxd at Spooky Tuesday. And as I always have said all the time, Thank you for listening. I forgot what I was going to say.
It's so quiet. I have always
choke-
said it, but maybe not right now. It'll come
then
to me
I
in just
kinda-
another moment.
I choked on my tongue a little bit and forgot. We're having a hard time. Thank you for listening. See you next Tuesday. Bye, spookies.
What are they going to do with that thing, Dave?
Well, the Air Force is sending a globe master in. They're flying it to the Arctic.
It's not dead, is it?
No, it's not. Just frozen. I don't think it can be killed, but at least we've got it stopped.
Yeah, as long as the Arctic stays cold, huh?
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamra Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamra, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at _the_moon_omg.